What's good, everybody? It's Big Jack back here with Mike. We're bringing you another Bears preview going into week 3. First and foremost, we got the Miller Lite sponsorship. Great taste, less filling. Bears. First 2 weeks, we had San Francisco, glorious win in that crazy conditions. Justin Fields made some big time plays, shows he has that potential. The dude's got a ceiling. Last week, Packers kind of took us back down to earth. But at the end of the day, they get in on that 4th and goal play from the inch-yard line, maybe run a regular QB sneak instead of shotgun. It's a one touchdown game with about 8 minutes left. A little bit of momentum. Who knows what happens at Lambeau? But all that being said, we would have talked about going into the season 1-1 after 49ers and Packers first 2 weeks. That's a pretty solid spot to be. I still like where the team is at. I'm still all right with the coaching staff for the most part. I'd like Luke Getsy to kind of, let Justin Fields throw the ball. But other than that, I'm okay. 1-1, going back home. Got Houston coming to town. I'm feeling good about the Bears right now. And, I still am high on the potential for what a lot view as a lackluster season. How you feeling, Mike?
I feel great. You kind of summed up my thoughts perfectly. I went into the season basically writing off the first 2 games, thinking that we might not score a point in the first 2 games. Like, that was honestly my thought process. I'm actually encouraged. We're just Big Cat from Barstool Sports says the Bears are a frisky team, and I think that's a good way to sum it up. Where they don't have Super Bowl aspirations this year. Like, maybe they're not going to come out and say that, but this is a rebuilding year, and I think there's some fight in this team. I think they're well coached. I think we're seeing some key pieces of the team come together nicely. I think the jury's still out on some other key pieces, most notably quarterback 1. But that being said, I feel like they got a game plan to turn this team around, and they're trying to execute it. I'll give them the chance. That win against San Francisco in the Storm was glorious and so much fun. Team that fought and kind of broke the will of the other team, it seemed like. I'm sure the weather helped. And then we went up to Lambeau, and like you said, he scores that quarterback sneak despite being a super ugly second quarter and really a pretty ugly quarterback game overall. We're one score down with 8 minutes left, and I think a lot of people would have taken that. Now, of course, we don't get the touchdown, and after that, the game's basically over. But and then everyone wants to go back and look at the stats that the quarterback had. But I don't know. Give the kid a few more weeks. I mean, give him till week 10, 11. If week 10, 11, 12 come around and we're still seeing stat lines like that, then we got major cause for concern, and he's not the guy. But it's not all going to be perfect. There's going to be some growing pains. I'm encouraged.
Yep. I agree on almost all fronts there. So let's keep it moving right along. The first week, we talked about the 3 keys. Last week, unfortunately, we were kind of touched about it in our other video, but we were at a wedding, so a little busy. Couldn't necessarily do the Bears video, unfortunately. But our thing is we're going to try to do 3 keys. The first week against San Francisco, I was in charge. I had the quarterback matchup. I mean, Trey Lance is already out of the NFL, I'm pretty sure. So I was right about that. Let's mention the coaching staff being a professional operation. Bears had 0 second half penalties. That was a big factor in the win. And then also the offensive line sort of holding their own, which they did. I mean, the defensive line in San Francisco is sort of a different beast. They're going to get theirs to an extent, but the offensive line did enough, and they were able to come away with the win. This week, we got Mike taking over the 3 keys that are going to lead us to victory against Lovie Smith and the Texans.
Jack, thanks. All right, so we got 3 keys. I'm trying to decide whether to put one of the keys first or third. I think I'm just going to start with it. It's the most controversial one. The first key is Justin Fields. He has to rip it. It's, like we said, it's a rebuilding year. If you go out and lose to the Texans, does it matter a ton? No. But if the end of the season comes and we don't feel like we have an answer on Justin Fields, that's a problem. We got to get an answer one way or the other. I think it's 2-part. So I think first part is a little bit of the coaching. I think the second thing is the guy doesn't throw the ball unless the receiver's like 5 foot open. And that's a problem. He's got to get better with anticipation. He's got to sling the rock. Can't be worried about making mistakes. I'm having some Mitch Trubisky flashbacks here to where it just seems like he's so scared to fuck it up. Fuck that. You got to let your nuts hang sometimes. You got to throw the ball. Go out there. Play like an NFL fucking offense. Yes, you have to run the ball. Yes, you have to keep balance. I'm not saying abandon it. But when you're dropping back there, throw the fucking rock. Chicago will be able to live with if you have some turnovers, if you're at least throwing the ball like a quarterback. You're not going to have too long of a leash if we're seeing 7 for 9 or whatever the fuck he was for too many more weeks. So that's key number one. Throw the damn ball when you drop back for a pass. Throw the ball. And, hopefully you learn from it. That's key number one.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail in the head there when you said developmental year.
Right. This might not be a key to victory this Sunday, but it's a key for the Bears season. Got to start throwing the ball.
Right. I think it comes down to kind of one of the things we talked about when we initially discussed the Bears season, and how my point was sort of that if Justin Fields is the guy and starts taking that next step and we're seeing that development, and, my point was that if your quarterback is good in this league, you're going to win games.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it makes up for a lot of other things.
Exactly. So, you got to let him, have the opportunity to make those plays. But to your other point about the fact that he's missing a lot of throws,
Yeah.
having a lot, not being able to go through his progressions, that stuff is discouraging. I get it's only 2 weeks in a new offense, but you got to see that development. You need to see that improvement week after week, and he has to be given the opportunities to fail.
For sure.
He goes out there and
he almost
at least he can hopefully learn from them, but you can't be throwing the ball 11 times.
Yeah.
Expect him to grow in any manner. So hopefully they open it up a little bit.
Absolutely.
Get him some layups early, some quick slants, some duck downs, all those things. Get him moving early, get him comfortable, and then hopefully from then he can loosen up and start, as you said, letting it rip a bit more.
Yeah, man. Like I said, it seems like he doesn't throw to people unless they're just wide open. And that's not what the NFL is. This isn't Ohio State where your guys are burning fucking Purdue defensive backs and they're 7 yards open. So, we'll see. Like I said, maybe this week is maybe less of a keys to victory and more of just overall themes I want to keep seeing happening in the game, right? Kind of like an overall big picture keys type thing. So that's key number one. Everybody knows his quarterback. Everybody knows he did not look good last week. First week he made some plays, but arguably didn't look incredible either. So we just got to see him have some more opportunities and take those opportunities and at least give it a try. Don't strike out swinging. Don't strike out looking. Strike out swinging, fucking let it go. All right. Next key I want to see. The interior offensive line. Lucas Patrick, club is off the hand. He goes in for Sam Mustipher. We're assuming that. I don't know if that's officially been said yet. But I think the interior offensive line would be Cody Whitehair, left guard, Lucas Patrick, center, and Tevin Jenkins, right guard. I think that has the potential to be a very strong interior offensive line unit. I think that Lucas Patrick is a significant upgrade over Sam Mustipher, who I would die for. I fucking love the guy. I love Sam Mustipher with all my heart. He's not good enough to be a starting center in the NFL. Too many times the interior of the pocket gets pushed back right in the quarterback's face. He could be a glue guy in the locker room and be a backup, rotational type guy. He's not a good enough center. So I think that the insertion of, assumably, Lucas Patrick at center, along with those two guards, I think we now have a very strong interior line foundation. And I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Braxton Jones. I don't know if you are personally, but it looks like we might have something in a late round pick there at left tackle. We'll see how he does this week. Larry Borum, I don't think is a long-term solution. I don't think he lines up 100% with what this staff wants in a right tackle. But overall, it looks like we might have a halfway decent unit. And I know we've bantered about this with Ciccone, one of our other friends. It seems like there's not very many good offensive lines in the NFL. So if you got something like solid and a good interior line, one tackle kind of figured out, you could chip with the right tackle with a tight end sometimes. We could they should have a foundation there at offensive line, and that's very encouraging to me because under the last regime, it seemed like that was a thing that they weren't tough and they could never get that figured out, the offensive line. And in my opinion, if you don't win in the trenches, it's tough to win elsewhere in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, the quick hitters to your points there, from my perspective, is one starts out with the narrative that's sort of been surrounding this team all offseason with the new polls regime and the fact that they have all this cap space. They're rebuilding, they're not saying it, but everyone kind of knows it by their actions type of thing. But Lucas Patrick is one dude they went out and actually spent some real money on. They paid that man to be their center. He's been out, unfortunately, with that injury, kind of doing that weird rotation thing at right guard with Tevin Jenkins. So I think getting him in at center and sort of, submitting that line as a whole, I think is the biggest key. Where, yes, I see what you're saying about Borum. That's definitely a question mark. Long term at right tackle, yikes. Hopefully we can get an upgrade. Braxton Jones, rookie, he's got a lot to learn, a lot to do, but showing some positive things in 2 games. But I think the key with Lucas Patrick moving to center is just that no more rotations. Everyone's locked in, barring health, of course. And you just get that consistent line.
Absolutely.
Week after week, snap after snap, get that unit, work it together, being a little more cohesive. I think that'll bring comfortability to Justin Fields.
Absolutely.
Comfortability, consistency to the squad in general. And I love the prospect of having that consistent line building week after week.
It also seems like, and maybe this is just an untrained eye that I have watching at home, but it seems like Justin Fields is trying to escape up the center so fucking often. And if he just has those people in front of him, maybe it's a big help. I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I think if you lose in the trenches, it's hard to win elsewhere in the NFL. I think they're doing the right way with how they're trying to build this team. They're hoping they have something at quarterback. They're trying to build the line, and then they could fill in the pieces later with the skill positions. I like what they're doing. I'm encouraged by what they're doing. We'll see if having Patrick in there at center, the line looks a little more stable, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. Third key that I want to see. It's kind of hard to sum up, but Roquan is supposedly potentially out this week. It looks like there's maybe another starting linebacker out this week. We're going to have a little bit of a makeshift defense. I want to see how the depth looks. I want to see if they can still hold their own. The Texans aren't world beaters. Hopefully they go out there and they don't make, the Bears have to put up 30. Hopefully they could still put in a good effort. Maybe create a turnover. Who knows? But I want to see how the makeshift defense that we got going on this week, what it looks like. Hopefully they still have some fight in them. Hopefully they can still do some things. Let's see, maybe that secondary look a little bit better than it did last week. Obviously, it's tough against Aaron Rodgers. Kyler Gordon looked like he got abused a little bit last week. If it's just growing pains, that's fine. Hopefully it's not a trend. And like I said, it's obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But want to see the defense look solid this week despite any kind of injuries, just because I don't think the Texans are world beaters.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I think this game, obviously, this season, kind of how you talked about in your first key, more of being like, more of a long-term outlook than necessarily a key to a specific week in the offense and Justin Fields. But this week, I do think is like a defense, go get it week.
Absolutely.
Right? The Texans have been bad. I don't know all the specific numbers off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure they're one of the offenses that's like actually been worse than the Bears. I do know for a fact that Davis Mills' numbers are oddly, skewed home and away.
Yep.
He's a lot better at home
Yep.
in his stadium in Houston than he is on the road. So defense has got to go out there and do their thing. You kind of made your own comment about untrained eye with the offensive line. I'm not going to act like a tough guy who's like, I watched the all 22 and I know everything.
Wait, you don't do that every week?
Oh, no, but but I could just tell you watching the game that Kyler Gordon, made a play or two where I was like, all right, at least he's got it in him. But yeah, he did get picked on, which is a little worrisome. So you hope guys like that sort of have a bounce back week. you hope they're able to lock him down. Roquan Smith, could be a big miss, but I love the ability for someone to step up and kind of fill that void and be like, hey, this is my opportunity against a not very good team. And, this is, maybe not doesn't matter for this week, but I do kind of like the precedent of being like, hey, Roquan might not be able to go. Someone sort of steps in, fills his shoes. The defense looks solid, and Roquan's motivated to get that contract in the offseason and be like, all right, I've had a solid couple years in this league. I didn't get paid. I haven't had the greatest start to this season.
No, he didn't look very good last week.
Right. So now maybe that little motivation sort of lights a fire under his ass. He gets going and, is able to be the player that we all hope he can be on that side of the ball. But, yeah, I agree. Defense got to shut him down, and there's no excuse not to. It's a bad offense. You're at home. Go take care of business.
Defense got to be thinking 21 points, right? Keep holding the 21. And the offense got to go get 22, Well, hopefully 24 plus for betting purposes. But,
the over-under on the game is only like 40.
Yeah. So if you look at both these teams, they're both very much in line with the only 2 games so far in the season, but they're averaging like 14.5 points scored, and they're giving up I think it was like 19 points a game or something like that. So they're, if that holds true, 20 wins the game probably. So, let's see. It's a game where if you're the Bears, I think you still want to go win, right? It's not a game where you go and play safe. It's a game you go play some football. It's at home. It's not a scary team, right? It's a team that's rebuilding themselves. And, I think you got to go try to get the W. And, if we're sitting here 2-1, I think people will be jumping to Justin Fields MVP conclusions again. But, I mean, let's go get a W. Let's enjoy a Sunday. We know there's not going to be a ton of them this year probably. So, let's savor them while we can get them, and let's move to 2-1, and no more club dub, but we'll come up with a new name for partying after the game.
Yeah. Amen. Hey man, they're already 1-0 at home against a way better 49ers team than this Houston team is. Protect home field, go out there, take care of business. Just to recap, Mike's keys were on Justin Fields. Got to let it rip. Take those next steps. Go out there, do your thing. We got the offensive line, continue to grow with Lucas Patrick. The interior offensive line specifically, keep rocking. Tevin Jenkins, be nasty out there. Keep going after people. Keep earning your keep. That third key, defense, it's your day. Houston is weak. Go out there and step on their throats early. Don't even give them a chance to breathe. All right? Got to protect home field. Mike is on the Bears -2.5 or 3, whatever you got him at, whatever the board says. It's right in that ballpark, 3 at the moment. So he's on the Bears to cover the 3. We're looking good. Lovie Smith, come on home. We want a piece of you. And I'll throw out 2 last quick notes. I swear Darnell Mooney better have at least 5 catches, and I want a Cole Kmet touchdown. Get these men involved. We're not even looking at them. Luke Getsy, open it up. Like I said, get Justin Fields some layups, get him comfortable. Let's start feeding our weapons the rock. People say we got no weapons. Well, we got to use the guys we have, all right? Darnell Mooney is rated like 88 in Madden, so he's got to be decent.
I think I saw both those guys on a milk carton.
Yeah, exactly. All right, get these dudes the ball. Let's go out and get a W. All right. Anything else, Mike?
Just as always, bear down, and I'll let you sign off here.
Bears.